vehicle, roadworthy. I've got to have tail lights. I've got high and low beam headlights. I've got to have turn signals, front and rear. I got to have a rear view mirror. The state of Michigan is checking all these things off before they license me or register me to put it on the road. And they're saying, they being the state of Michigan, saying it's safe to get on the road with the F-150s that you and I drive.
Yeah, but again, you're giving an example of someone building something. The thing that my vehicle already comes equipped and built and manufactured that way.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference. I can guarantee you that if somebody took the time and researched what these roadworthy requirements were state by state, they would be different. There'd be similarities, but they'd be different. So for Terex to sell it and say it's roadworthy, they're not guaranteeing you that it's legal in Michigan. They can't.
Well, that's why I put those disclaimers on. The other thing too.
Stop. I'm not done with my argument. That's where the registration process comes from. The individual states saying, yeah, Crucell, we think your Terex is legal on Michigan roads. That's the whole part of the process that changes from just any old thing that they decide they want to ticket somebody because they had it on the roadway. They could claim it's an ORV. No, they can't because it's registered, my F-150, your F-150. It's registered with the state of Michigan as a motor vehicle, i.e. legal to be on the roads. That's what kills your overly broad argument, is because there's a process by which it is no longer an ORV. It's now roadworthy because the state of Michigan is registered as such.
But again, the state of Michigan is arbitrarily trying to convert everyone's right to travel by saying
that's a different argument.
Yeah,
that's a different argument.
I get where you're trying to go with this. I understand that. But again, you look at this definition, and I was not, no one said anything. Again, this all goes back to I was not cited for no registration. I was not cited for insurance. None of that stuff was even brought up. It was strictly the ORV that they're trying to stick to. And again, by going off this definition, that can be any single vehicle in the world. Anything that they want is capable of going off road.
Well, but here's my ruling. Here's my ruling. Because there's a process to register vehicles, whether or not they're ORVs, F-150s, whatever they are, because there's a process in the state of Michigan is to register them as roadworthy, I don't think that's overly broad language. Because I think you can't read everything in a vacuum. So my ruling is, on that motion, my ruling is I deny your motion that it's overly broad. I don't believe it is. But I still have problems with the way the whole thing went down. I'm trying to figure out how to deal with that, because, and I think I've told you this from the beginning. I get it. Matter of fact, I think the first day you were here, I get it. You've had interactions with Huron Township police officers that said you're good, and now all of a sudden this guy says you're not good, and here we are. I mean, that's blatantly unfair. Whether or not it was accidental or by design is still like, okay, that's not fair, but that's the way things happen. All right. There's not a hell of a lot of there's a distinction, but you know, if I drive 75 miles an hour on 275 every day, and I go by 3 officers, Huron officers, and they don't stop me because I'm only going 5 over, but the state stops me and writes me for going 1 to 6 over. It's kind of unfair, but clearly I violated the law. You follow me?
Yeah, but you're comparing to the department.
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what I told you way back when. It's like, hey, I get it. It's unfair, but the tickets were issued. We got to go through the process and deal with it. Hold on. Stop. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to deal with the unfairness in the process. Okay.
Right. Which I get what you're saying. But again, if I was charging this in, say, Flat Rock, and I tried pulling this, oh, well, Huron told me, then I get that.
Oh, absolutely. Your argument's much stronger in Huron. Absolutely. And once again, I'm feeling it. Okay. I told you from the beginning, I get it. It's not, it stinks. Okay. Do you know what the process is to register the Terex to put it on the road?
I get what the state's process is to register vehicles.
How long would it take? If you know. Well, I don't have a clue.
That's been part of it. If I was looking to do that, I would. But again, I've been confirmed that I had my lawful right to travel by several different, including, again, this all stems from the traffic sergeant in Huron telling me that I have the lawful right to do what I have to do. So I don't have any intention.
Well, what do you think the chances are of him coming in here and testify to that?
I don't think that he would incriminate himself.
So you're planning on issuing
I
a
had to
subpoena?
meet my wife at the gas station.
So you're going to issue a subpoena to him for trial?
And his fiance or girlfriend, because she was also the one relaying all the information to my wife about the same thing. So yeah, I would absolutely subpoena both of them to have them come here. I have a whole slew of people I would subpoena them.
Are you willing to register the tariffs? It would help resolve things?
I remember you pointing out that you would like to have a traveling argument if I got brought into the.
No, don't go there. Don't go with the traveling argument. To resolve these issues, would you be willing to register your vehicle with the state of Michigan, the tariffs?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
Again, there's other arguments that I have lots of stuff to show where the conflict with that is too. But again, that's not what we're here for.
What do you think we're here for?
ORV and road. We're not here for registration, none of that stuff. That wasn't part of.
But I'm trying to resolve issues. Okay. All right, because
I'm not just going around and run around and make this big deal with Huron. I'm not a criminal. I know criminal history. I was just doing something I lawfully had the right to do. It was confirmed I had the lawful right to do. And then now here we all are dealing with all this. And I'm being targeted by people that, and I've got good friends that work in the department. We've been, again, we've known averages. We've been a part of the story. And then now all of a sudden.
here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you want your trial. Because I don't think anything else is going to satisfy you other than to get to trial.
This needs to be dismissed, but it should have been, yeah.
But you don't have a legal argument that I can hang my hat on to dismiss it.
I had all sorts of legal aspects to show that the whole beginning of this was an unlawful stop.
You've never even argued that. You've never filed a motion to dismiss for lack of probable cause.
In the very beginning, and you dismissed it saying, "Oh, I find probable cause," just because I have all the recordings.
Oh, you did. Yeah, you did. Because I said you're going down the roadway and you're doing something he thinks is illegal, gives him a right to stop you.
Yeah, but again, that goes back to the point that we had interactions and he chose to retaliate against instead of going to talk to a traffic sergeant who's above him, right? Who is ahead of the traffic, who's the one that confirmed that I had every lawful right to do what I was doing.
Hold on. Go ahead.
He who is above Sergeant Price, and he confirmed that operating an automated roadway is, that's why it's a very true citation.
Yeah, but you don't think it's going to be problematic if Price sits on the stand and says 2 different times I told him he could do what he was doing.
And also since I did make contact with Mr. Cusel times notifying him that he was not to operate an RV in the roadway. And during the stop, Mr. Cusel himself said I was waiting for this.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, if Price sits there and says on 2 different occasions, I told this guy that he could operate that vehicle on these roads, I can't see any trier of fact convicting him of the RV.
That's true. Why didn't we have him here for our trials?
I don't know.
Again, because there's all sorts of issues, and all that paper I've been filing, there's issues the whole entire time. I had no intentions of doing any trial, and I even sat here the other day when I said I'm not participating, especially in a trial that ends in a court that owned by the state, you're owned by the state.
Let's talk about that.
Hold on.
Let's talk about that because I highlighted that when I got your motion last week or whatever it was. Okay. That's not the case. Okay. Huron Township, let me finish. Huron Township is bringing the charge against you. It's the Township of Huron versus you. It's not the state of Michigan.
It says the state of, even one of the, not even says the state of Michigan against it.
It's a separate legal entity.
And
well,
you know Neil Gorsuch is, Justice Gorsuch? He's even coming out in the Reagan Center, even talking about how courts like these, that's what they're doing. They're denying people their rights, and they're breaking the charges and judging their own cases. That is exactly what it is. You can't have a fair trial that way. Absolutely not. And not to mention that.
All right. Well, let me stop you. That's the way our system is at this point in time. That's the only system we've got is where the judiciary runs the courts, the legislature creates the law, and the executive branch enforces them. That's the system we have. If you don't like it, work to change it. But that's the system you've been charged in, and that's the system you've got.
And with the Chevron deference case being overturned, that explicitly stops them all of the referring to the statutory, all this stuff, the statutory stuff.
All right, you're getting nowhere with any of those arguments, Mr. Crisell. You're not going to get anywhere with those arguments at this level. So the only thing you can do is get a judgment here that you can appeal to the next level and appeal that to the next level. And ultimately you may end up at the U.S. Supreme Court and have somebody agree with you, but you can't, that doesn't work here. We've got to deal with what we've got. I've got to deal with the precedents that we've got in place now, not your arguments that you think are going to be accepted down the road. That's the reality. All right. You and I can sit down over a cup of coffee, or I don't drink coffee, but whatever, and talk about how there are, problems with the system. But the system we have now is the only system I've got to work, and I'm going to work it. So what I'm hearing from you is we got to get a trial date and let you get a decision. If you win, beautiful, you can stop there. If you lose, you're moving up the appeal chain. Because none of the arguments you've got apply here. Your travel argument, I'm not buying that. That's never been accepted anywhere that I know of that I've got any reason to follow. I told you.
State's arbitrators and they've been doing it for a very long time.
Say that again.
The state is, but the state is going and trying to take people's right to travel and saying that everybody has to have these licenses and all these things.
Absolutely. And but hold on. It's well-established law, might be changed somewhere down the road, but currently it's well-established law that if you're traveling by means of a motor vehicle, you have to have a operator's license.
Thanks for the federal codes and all the states.
This is not a federal court, sir. This is not a federal court.
Okay, go back to Florida, right? Shows again, it's another ambiguous statute.
Okay, look, I'm not going to argue this. I've already argued this with you. I've made it clear from day one that your traveling argument dies. It doesn't go anywhere in this court. So stop arguing that. It's not going to get you to where you need to be, which is to resolve these files one way or the other so you can appeal it if you want to. You follow me?
Well, I get very loving to take it, yes.
No, it's not where I want you to take it. It's where you have to take it, because we're not going to have these same arguments ad infinitum over and over and over again. We're going to close these files at some point. But that's because you want them to, doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. I'm not going to dismiss these just because you don't like the way things went down. I don't like the way things went down. But the process has to be followed. As much as I would like to just make this go away, I'm not going to agree with you just to make the case go away.
Really, it's very obvious what took place.
No, it's not. But once again, Mr. Crisell, it's obvious to you, but you're not the guy up here in the black robe that's making the decisions. It's obvious to you because that's the only way you can see it. And I get that. Right? I get it. It's your position. You're passionate about your position, but where you're losing it is you just won't accept the fact that I don't agree with you. I'm in charge and it's got to move forward. That's just the reality of it. And once again, man, I hope you appeal it. I hope you make some new law. Good for you.
I mean,
So now we need a trial date.
which I completed the trial.
But once again, I don't care if you object. Listen to me. Listen to me. It's not being dismissed. That means we have to try it to make it go away. That's the way the process works.
Again, how is one supposed to be? And again, you yourself, and I've watched you in numerous other videos. Okay, I've seen because you make yourself, you're on TikTok all over the place. And I see the things you say to everyone. It's very obvious, and you yourself has even admitted to seeing things the same way. There is no way that I would ever have a fair trial, any way, shape, or form.
And that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. Once again, just because I happen to agree with the prosecutor or any other party in a case doesn't mean I'm biased against the other party. At any point in time, I've got to make a decision. Somebody's right, somebody's wrong.
That right? To make it seem like you're not, but it is exactly how it is. The prosecutor and these courts, they work together.
But-
It's all owned by the state.
Then once again, Mr. Crisell, then you need to appeal my decision when I told you I was not going to recuse myself. You should have appealed that. But we're not going to keep plowing the same field. I'm going to set a trial date and you're going to be here for trial or I'm going to issue a bench warrant. I don't know any other way to resolve the file. I've got to resolve these files. You need these files resolved. If you want to appeal me, you got to have a decision to appeal.
Yeah.
So, you keep sitting there and say, I'm not going to participate in a trial. At some point, you have to if you want these to go away. And hear my heart. If I knew of another way to get you to where you want to go, I'd throw that suggestion out there. But once again, I'm not just going to roll over and say, okay, case dismissed, because I don't buy your legal arguments.
Which is, again, wild to me because it's very clearly that this ORV thing is being overly applied because it's not.
But once again, it's clear to you. I just told you I don't agree with you. But you can't accept the fact that I might disagree with you. That's unhealthy. I mean, you can believe I'm wrong. That's okay. But you got to accept the fact that I'm in the judgment seat and I've said you're wrong. Then appeal me. That's the way the process works. I understand you think the process is faulty, but that's the process we have. So if you've got some other way to resolve these files, a suggestion, I'm open to hear it. But the only thing I can say is we got to get a trial scheduled and let the chips fall. And I'd love to have you bring Officer Price in here. Because I told you from the beginning, I believe that inadvertent or not otherwise, the Township of Huron kind of set you up to get the ORV ticket. Because I believe that you've been told in the past that you were okay. I believe that.
100%.
But I can't do anything with it here. Put Price on the stand and he says, I guess I was wrong because I told him he could do that. So what are we going to do? You ready to set a trial?
We're leaving with no other option.
I don't know of any other option, Mr. Crisell. I honestly, brother, I don't know of any other option.
Well, I mean, again,
Because I can't keep kicking the can down the road. I mean, I can't have this, I can't retire down the road and still have these open files here. I mean, I'm not doing my job. And I don't think it's doing you any good.
been a nuisance.
What's it going on? Year and a half now? Closer to 2. Coming on 2. No, it was February 24. 24. Yeah. All right. So you want a bench trial? Or you want a jury trial? All right. You're going to represent yourself? Okay. Let's get a date.
Can you do January 30th, Thursday?
You? What day was it? Thursday? Yes. All right. So you're going to send the prosecutor an email with a specific date for that video you're looking for, or that body cam footage, I should say. Right? Okay. No further motions. We're going to trial. Well, the only other motion I'll entertain now is if it's a discovery motion. Understood, Mr. Crisell? All right. Questions? All right. Good luck.
Real quick, I mean, I do believe we're going to do files here in the firm. You guys have a bench warrant.
You got a bench warrant for something?
Yeah.
What's it? A misdemeanor?
And the case number for
No else.
You got it?
Yes.
All right. We can get you a case or a court date for that, ma'am. Mr. Crisell, we've got a speeding ticket that's got nothing to do with this incident, I think, from August 21, 24.
Signing this with retaliation stuff.
Okay. Who was that officer?
Awesome, Harold.
Okay. Did Merrill have anything to do with the other ones?
My wife on her dead end of the road, and again, that's
Hold on. Merrill didn't have anything to do with the February incident, did he?
not bad, no.
Okay. All right.
Title of this.
So what are you going to do on this? Once again, it's in default because you didn't do anything with it. So
I need to do that. Paperwork, no one responded to anything to my paperwork.
what'd you file on this?
I got a game of the ball in there.
Yeah, none of that does anything. That's more of the bullshit that we just ignore that stuff. So you want a hearing? Well, if you want him to prove it, then you ask for a hearing. You don't just file paperwork.
I told her if it wants to schedule a date, you can give me a date.
Okay. Okay. Well, you don't ask the clerk if she wants to set a date. If you want to fight a ticket, you say, I want to contest this ticket. I need a hearing. So do you want a formal hearing date? I'll give you a formal hearing date. All right. You want to do that before the jury trial? Huron have any formal hearing dates coming up?
We can do it on December 10th, so we'll keep it.
December 10th? Just my regular Tuesday, you mean?
It's a Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. So formal hearing, what time do you do it? I'm asking you, 10:30? Then the other civil infraction is the CCW disclosure thing.
Which goes-
That's going with the February. You understood that?
We can do that before, right? No.